which goes us to to another yung topic hanggang ngayon, yung planner's perpetual dilemma. No? So yung sa Hetchy na dilemma is not a historical anomaly. No? It repeats itself continuously at every scale and at every community where planning occurs. No, some of you, no, kung makuha niyo yung license na yan, yung debate na yan is ongoing debate yan, no, sa pag-practice natin ng profession. Pabalik-balik yan, no, lalo na dito sa atin sa Mindanao, no, yung issue na yan is will be repeated again and again. So in the modern day conflict, natin between building affordable housing, no, for instance, and protecting prime agricultural land from sprawl. Diba, palaging debate yan? Kasi kailangan ng mag-create ng mga ng mga subdivision. No? Pagkatapos sa kabilang side naman, what about yung mga prime agricultural land natin na convert? No, may maraming pros and cons yan. Ang next question, saan may patirahin yung mga tao? Now, where do you place people na homeless? Diba? Hindi naman pwedeng ilagay sa outer space yan. So you need to house them. Now, ang question lang is, pwede mo ba silang ilagay sa mga areas na malapit sa yung mga opportunities, mga job employment areas? Hindi naman pwede yun, no? So dapat malapit din sa mga areas that they can also live. So yun yung human-centric na argument, no? Yung conflict between affordable housing at saka yung conversion ng mga agricultural lands. So sa atin sa planner, it's always a difficult choice, no? Difficult choice. For example, sa inyo, no, may mga forester dito. Yung difficult choice between permitting logging in a forest to support a local economy, no, and preserving that same forest as a critical wildlife corridor and carbon sink. In fact, umabot sa Supreme Court to. Isang case na pinaaresto ng DNR, no, dahil isang indigenous na yung Pilipino, no, in Luzon. He was apprehended for cutting yung tree without permit. No? So ano nangyari? Hinuli siya, kinulong siya. No? That created landmark case. Umabot sa Supreme Court yung case, no? Kasi ang issue is whether or not there was criminal liability sa kanya for cutting yung tree na yan. No? So if you read the decision divided yung Supreme Court. No? Divided yung Supreme Court for what seemed to be a simple case lang sana. No? Pinutol mo yung kahoy, walang permit, therefore, pwede kang ikulong. No? But surprisingly, the guy was acquitted, no, by the Supreme Court. So it's a leading case ngayon. It's a leading case involving mga IPRA lands. No? Yung pagputol ng kahoy, instances na you don't need DNR approval. So mga ganyan, no, mga issue. Naging dilemma din yan. Environmental justice naman to, no, na issue. For example, another mga debate, no, sa mga planners, yung paggawa ng highway to relieve congestion. No? Ang problema, wala ka naman pwedeng daanan. Dadaan ka sa wetland, no, that provides flood control and water purification. Diba? So what we're seeing dito, no, sa inyo class, you want to join the profession, there's no easy one size fits all answer or formula solution to these conflicts. No, as planners, we are perpetual mediators, no, in term natin, and negotiators in this enduring conflict. Now we are tasked with the immense challenge of finding a path that acknowledges both the very real material needs of people and the profound, often non-monetizable value of the natural world. What is the mga overlooked na dimension dito? That time, while nag-aaway itong dalawang yung mga early natin, no? Mga thinkers natin, they were debating the fate of the American wilderness. There was a parallel, no? An open, much darker historical force that systematically reshaped yung landscape and societies around the world. Ano to? Yung colonialism, no? European at saka American colonialism. Ano bang ginawa nila? Mas matindi, no? These colonialists, they were not just extracting wealth. Diba? Yung ginawa naman nila. They were actively and deliberately reorganizing the environments of Africa, Asia, and the America to serve narrow imperial economic interests with little regard for local ecology or human communities. So this process, no, yung colonialism, involved the violent exploitation of natural resources and human labor for the sole benefit of the colonizing nation, often with devastating and long-lasting consequences for local populations, no, indigenous cultures, and complex ecosystems that had evolved over the millennia. So to have a complete and honest historical picture of global environmental change, we must critically examine and acknowledge this often overlooked but profoundly important dimension of landscape transformation and its legacy of injustice. Nag-aaral tayo ng environmental planning, dapat nag-aaral din tayo ng history. Saan ba nagsimula yung matitindi na exploitation, no, ng natural resources? Doon pa sa yung mga colonial powers natin. Hanggang ngayon, no, it's still being manifested. So ano yung mga environmental legacy ng mga colonial powers? Na matindi, no, profound, pervasive. No, hindi lang sa Amerika yan. Doon sa Americas, you go to Asia, no, Asia at saka Africa. You have yung profound, pervasive at saka continuous use of their influence, no? Yung development patterns nila affected, no, the ecological health of Asia, Africa in particular. So you have diverse, no, na mga and resilient ecosystems that were systematically cleared and replaced with monoculture plantations dedicated to cash crops, no, like rubber, tea, sugar, and cotton for export, destroying biodiversity and local food security. Hindi natin kailangan maghanap pa sa ibang bansa, dito sa atin, no, sa Mindanao, yung mga plantations, no, plantation ng saging, plantation ng pineapple, no, nasisira yung biodiversity. Pag alis nila, walang reforestation. So, daming instances niyan, no? Pagkatapos yung iniwan dahil walang reforestation program, it created hindi lang destruction, yung mga floodings, no? Everywhere. So, yun yung legacy ng mga colonialists natin, no? Process deliberately disrupted and often outlawed indigenous and local land management practices that had frequently evolved over centuries. So, pinalitan, no, yung local ecology, pinalitan ng mga externally imposed exploitative systems. So, the origin of many contemporary environmental problems, from desertification to biodiversity loss, can be traced directly to this colonial history of resource plunder. So bakit kailangan nating maintindihan tong for us planners yung colonialism, no? Why colonialism matters for planners? For us, no, in the modern environmental planning profession, especially those working in international or post-colonial context, understanding this history is not an academic exercise. No? It is an absolute prerequisite for equitable, effective, and culturally sensitive practice. So this historical lens helps us diagnose the root causes of persistent land tenure conflicts, societal vulnerability, and the disproportionate distribution of environmental harms we see today. Nakikita natin dito ngayon, no, manifestations pa ng decades of colonialism. No, it forces us to ask the critical, often uncomfortable question: who historically benefited from past resource exploitation, and who continues to bear the social, economic, and health costs? So planning in a post-colonial context, therefore, requires a deep, empathetic understanding of this historical legacy to avoid unintentionally perpetuating these old patterns of injustice and power imbalance, making the decolonization of planning practice a central ethical challenge for our time. Are you still there, class? We do synthesis na ng presentation natin. So let's have some synthesis of our lecture, no, yung sa introduction ng environmental planning. So where does this rich and contentious history leave us as students and future practitioners of environmental planning? The fundamental debate, no, between Pinchot and Muir was never truly resolved with a clear winner. Hanggang ngayon wala pang winner yan, no? Ongoing debate pa rin siya. Instead, it was synthesized into a more complex, nuanced, and integrated understanding of our relationship with the environment, acknowledging the validity of both perspectives. So sa planning profession, yun yung recognition natin ngayon. Wala namang perfect na methodology, no? Even yung premises nila hindi naman talaga perfectly correct, no, vis-a-vis the other perspective. Kasi iba na yung mundo ngayon, more complex na siya. No, the core concepts from this foundational theory and practice that we discuss, no, is shaping the DNA of modern planning practice. So tayo ngayon as environmental planners must therefore be what we call siguro hybrid, no, na figures capable of channeling, no, both Pinchot's data-driven pragmatism and Muir's impassioned advocacy. No, the head of the manager and the heart of the visionary. We must be comfortable operating within this creative tension, using it to inform better, more holistic decisions. So next na synthesis natin dito, nasa introduction natin, we covered it also in our summation, but for introduction purposes, yung sustainable development, which emerged in the late 20th century, is a direct intellectual descendant attempting to reconcile the Pinchot-Muir debate, no, in sustainable development. So from Pinchot's utilitarianism, no, it takes the paramount concern for long-term human well-being. Tama din naman, no? Sa nakakarami, no? Poverty alleviation, maraming mahihirap, and responsible economic development, encapsulated in the phrase meeting the needs of the present. Sa kay Muir naman na yung preservationist na stance, it takes the non-negotiable imperative of environmental protection and respect for ecological limits, no, captured in the clause without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Yung first, ito yung second part. ng definition ng sustainable development without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So it's a conscious attempt to bridge the two philosophies, acknowledging that we must use resources, no, to develop and improve human welfare, but we must do so within the planet's finite ecological boundaries, protecting our critical natural capital and life support systems for the long time. Okay. Next na synthesis natin dito sa introduction natin, yung precautionary principle. Precautionary principle, this is a modern, influential policy tool that directly echoes kay Muir na deep-seated wariness of human technological hubris and overconfidence in the face of complex natural systems. Ano to? Yung precautionary principle. So it states that when an action or policy has a plausible risk of causing serious or irreversible environmental harm, a lack of full scientific certainty about the causal mechanism should not be used as a convenient reason to postpone cost-effective measures to prevent that potential degradation. Kahit na sa environmental justice, lumabas na rin yan, yung writ of kalikasan natin. Hindi naman siguradong may certainty of loss, but if there's a possible loss, then you can seek judicial redress. So, yung precautionary principle is an ethical at saka operational guide for decision-making in the face of profound uncertainty and high stakes, a formalization of the common sense idea. Ano bang common sense idea ng precautionary principle? It is wiser and more responsible to be safe than sorry. Diba? When the health of our planetary systems and future generations is on the line, shifting the burden of proof to the proponents of potentially harmful activities. So yun yung another na synthesize natin as introductory discussion. Then another synthesis natin dito sa introduction, natin sa sa practice ng environmental planning is yung concept of yung carrying capacity. Ano to? This is the scientific and quantitative expression of the ecological limits that Muir intuitively understood and fought to protect. It gives concrete, measurable form to his preservationist impulse. So in carrying capacity, it refers to the maximum population size of a species that a specific environment can sustain indefinitely without undergoing degradation, applied to humans and our consumption levels. So determining the carrying capacity of a local watershed, a regional airfield, or the global climate system is a fundamental technical task of environmental planning, moving sustainability from a vague ideal to a scientifically grounded and operational basis for land use planning, zoning, at community design. So it defines the non-negotiable boundaries and thresholds within which all economic and social development must occur if it is to be truly sustainable, providing a critical check on unbridled growth. So that is yung carrying capacity. Another concept that we can synthesize out of this introduction, ito, multiple and conflicting land uses. So example natin yung away nila sa Amerika on Hetch-Hetchy na dilemma. So it's being manifested everywhere. So it's not only a single dramatic battle, but as the routine everyday challenge of managing multiple and inherently conflicting land uses in a world of finite space. So planners, tayo are constantly mediating between competing, often legitimate interests. Yan nasa actual practice. No, parehong may mga legitimate interests. How do you resolve that? No, the pressing need for affordable housing versus yung strategic need to protect prime agricultural land and prevent urban sprawl. No, the economic benefits, for example, of logging versus the recreational, cultural, and habitat value of an intact forest. Ganong conflict, no? Yung, another one is the demand for new transportation infrastructure versus the goal of conserving a wetland. Ito yung sabi ko, no? Walang pwedeng daanan na kalsada. But yung mga conservationists, mga protectionists, they're saying na hindi pwedeng dumaan yung kalsada dyan. How do you resolve that? No, there is no empty frontier left. No, every land use decision involves complex trade-offs, no, give and take. And our professional role is to manage these competing uses through dialogue, analysis, and regulation to achieve the most sustainable, resilient, and equitable outcome possible for the community. So may idea na kay class na kung if you're an environmental planner, no, competing interest talaga. Walang perfect tool, no? So yung how do you make adjustments, no, after employing all the necessary tools, no, concepts or theory at your disposal. Then another synthesis natin dito, no, na yung need, yung next, yung necessity of intervention. Hindi naman pwedeng pabayaan natin yan. No? For example, yung deforestation, mga flooding, no, mga public health issues. As we mentioned nga, during the panahon ng Industrial Revolution, no, yung yung government, no, initially failed to protect yung public health. So ngayon sa practice ng profession natin, environmental planning, so by its very nature, no, if you're joining our profession, deliberative tayo, no, medyo interventionist na activity grounded in this historical lesson. Dapat tayong makialam, no, as environmental planners. Hindi pwedeng tumayo lang tayo, pabayaan natin. Now, why? Because it is based on the foundational premise that society, through its democratic institutions, can and should consciously shape its collective future to achieve better social, economic, and ecological outcomes than the short-term, no, logic of the market forces. So yung core mandate natin as planner and justification, we use foresight, we use data, we use inclusive public processes and regulatory tools to guide private development and public investment toward long-term sustainability, resilience, and common good. So once you get this license, no, iba na yung perspective. Kailangan na nating makialam, no? Kailangan nating mag-intervene. The next na synthesis natin dito yung paggamit ng siyensya at saka ethics. Finally, as we mentioned nga, yung conflict nila, ang resolution pala is gamitin mo yung dalawa. No? Yung dialectic ng science at ethics. Hindi lang pwede siyensya, you need also ethics. No? Science, yung what we call the integration of both sound science and strong ethical compass. So we cannot choose one over the other. No, yung for example kay Pinchot, no, we discussed earlier, he represented the indispensable scientific side. Kasi kailangan naman natin yan. When you say scientific side, for example, sa planning, data on ecology, data on hydrology, climate models, demographics, engineering. So we need this yung scientific fields to understand at saka yung model, yung mga consequences of our action. But on the other hand, hindi lang pwedeng all science lang. We need also yung as planners, we need also yung what we call the essential ethical side. Now we need a clear, courageous, set of values about justice. Justice, intergenerational equity, beauty, and our moral responsibility to the natural world and its non-human inhabitants. Na hindi lang pwede lahat tao. What about the other living organisms? So we must also consider their interests. Now, because ethics without data is impotent. Wala namang basis dyan and cannot be effectively implemented. Vice versa also, data without ethics is blind and can be deployed for destructive purposes. So in short, as planners, as part of the synthesis of this lecture, we must be bilingual, fluent in both fields, to be competent and ethical practitioners. Sana yung modern planner ngayon? Because all of you hopefully will be joining the profession. Anong profile? Yung profile ng modern planner ngayon, hybrid tayo. The profile of modern environmental planner is necessarily that of a hybrid professional. Ano yun? Ano ibig sabihin yan? We should be a synthesizer of seemingly opposing worldviews. Hirap, Pag in practice, papakinggan mo lahat yan. You don't need to be very opinionated in a particular field because there are opposing views. Now, we must be pragmatic, managers. We must be systems thinkers, capable of designing and implementing policies for sustainable resource use, resilient urban infrastructure, and efficient circular economics. So, we must also be simultaneously be visionary advocates, ethical leaders, and empathetic communicators, capable of recognizing the intrinsic value of nature, fighting for the protection of critical ecosystems, and ensuring that our planning processes are just, inclusive, and empower marginalized communities. So combination of ethics at saka empathy. So we must balance and integrate these two roles, yung sinimulan ng ng mga initial, yung mga founders natin, balancing these two roles in order to practice and succeed in this 21st century na era. So what we're seeing dito ngayon, for example, yung synthesize natin, parang we just simplified. For example, yung sa case ni Pinchot, yung more of the first role is of a manager. In our role as managers, we are masters of mga complex systems, quantitative data, mga regulatory frameworks. Ito yung kay Pinchot. We implement principles of sustainable yield, for instance, for water resources. Tapos forestry management. So, yun yung kay Pinchot, we analyze mga and manage complex na urban systems involving energy, transportation, waste, housing to improve efficiency and reduce environmental footprints. So in our role as manager, we develop long-term adaptive infrastructure plans that are fiscally responsible, resilient to climate shocks, and minimize resource waste. Ano pang mga role natin kung manager tayo? We are also technocrats, analysts, administrators who ensure that the functional working landscapes of our society, yung mga farms natin, power grids, for instance, mga water systems, mga transit networks natin, they operate reliably, efficiently, and sustainably for the long-term benefit of the public, applying science to the service of society. So ito yung first role ng planner, parang pinchot na model. What about yung kay Mir, yung more of advocate? Marami din sa atin dito, na mga environmental planners. We have our role as advocates, we are champions for ecological integrity, social justice, and the public interest. So ano yung mga ginagawa natin dito as advocates? We fight through planning tools and public processes to protect critical habitats. Mga biodiversity hotspots and essential wildlife corridors from destructive and poorly sited development. What else? As advocates, we, for example, work to ensure that environmental burdens like pollution and waste facilities and benefits, like park access, are distributed fairly across all communities, actively championing the cause of environmental justice. So dito sa mga advocacy, mas malapit yung environmental justice na toolkit natin. So what else kung advocates tayo? We design, facilitate genuinely inclusive public participatory processes so that all voices, especially those historically marginalized, all are heard and meaningfully influence outcomes. We strive to defend the interests of nature itself that has no legal voice. Hindi naman nakasalita yung nature. And of vulnerable communities, ensuring the plan serves more than just powerful economic actors. Another role natin, as we wind up, dapat historian din tayo. Naintindihan natin yung history. We must embrace the role of historian and context builder. We need deep, nuanced understanding of the economic, social, and political forces that shape the specific landscapes we are now planning. So, kailangan nating maintindihan. Deep historical understanding is not an academic luxury. It is vital diagnostic tool for accurately identifying root problems and designing interventions that are contextually appropriate, culturally sensitive, and more likely to succeed and endure over time. Okay? So, few slides na tayo. Are you still there? Class?
Yes, sir.
Andyan, so we're discussing in detail na yung outline natin. So kanina we discussed yung dito as we went up, yung concept ng ito, lumabas din sa board exam to, anthropocentric view. Let's just crystallize this. When you say anthropocentric, human-centered, the environment ethic, maganda din naman to, this has dominated yung Western thought and industrial development. Ano to? Yung anthropocentric view. We discussed this earlier. It views nature's value is primarily instrumental. Its worth is almost entirely defined by its utility for fulfilling human needs. Dapat sa yung measurement niya is how does it fulfill yung mga needs ng mga tao. So this perspective logically dominates much of our economic policy. No, cost-benefit analysis and conventional resource management planning. So in this view, the central driving question is asked, what can nature do for us? No, tayo na sa center ng universe dito. No, everything revolves around man. So yan yung palagi. Dapat ang question palagi, ano bang benefit natin as human being? No, o di ba? Yung number of people that should benefit should be central in our decision making. In contrast dito, yung kanina din natin to, no, yung concept ng biocentric or ecocentric view. Ano naman to dito? No? Instead of yung human-centered, kung biocentric ka, life-centered or ecosystem-centered ka. No? So why? Anong view dito? It argues that nature has inherent worth, meaning its value exists completely independent of humans and our economic or recreational interests. No, may karapatan din naman sila mag-exist, no? Yung mga other living things. So that is biocentric, no, na ecocentric view. So medyo yung philosophical foundation niya, deep ecology, no, yung rights of nature, saka yung mga wilderness natin. Yung question dito palagi, what is our ethical duty and responsibility to nature? So this perspective provides the crucial moral imperative for conservation that goes beyond narrow human utility and challenges unsustainable development paradigms. Another concept, no? Let's quickly mga ending slides natin, yung utilitarian conservation. Ang gandang pakinggan, no? Utilitarian conservation, but parang synonymous na rin sa development to. No? Development. Yung philosophy of the wise use of natural resources for the greatest long-term human benefit. No? For development talaga yung view na to. It is fundamentally a management and efficiency ethic focused on preventing waste, maximizing sustainable yield, and ensuring resource availability for future generations of humans. Okay. So, cornerstone to. Itong utilitarian conservation, cornerstone to ng professional resource management field. Like forestry, na? And water resources planning. Na emphasizing the role of science and public administration in achieving sustainable goals. Yung term na to, no? Para malagay natin sa concept, when you say preservation, itong kay John Muir, no? Anong pagkakaiba ng preservation sa conservation? No? Technically, sa planning, magkaiba siya. No? Magkaiba yung conservation sa preservation. Kasi conservation, nandun sa utilitarian concept yun eh. Preservation, medyo protecting nature. No? Philosophy of protecting nature from human use, exploitation, and commodification whenever possible. So, yung preservation, no? Preservation is motivated by the belief that nature possesses intrinsic, spiritual, aesthetic, and existential value that makes it sacred. So, public good, according to this concept, is served by preserving these places, no? Yung mga place na dapat hindi pwede galawin, for experiential, educational, aesthetic enrichment, not for material consumption or profit. So this ethic is the driving philosophical force behind the creation of national parks, no, wilderness areas, and nature preserves, setting aside land for its own sake and for the spiritual benefit of humanity. We discussed din kanina yung mga negative externalities. Kailangan nating i-master to as a planner. So, first to na lumabas during the Industrial Revolution. No? When you say negative externalities, these are unintended unpriced, no, cost of an economic transaction that are imposed on third parties who did not agree to the transaction. For instance, yung society at large at saka environment. Now again, when you say negative externalities, no, as a term sa environmental planning, these are mga unintended cost, no, of economic activity. Mga classic examples dito, yung air at saka water pollution from factories, where the polluter does not pay for the damage to public health or ecosystem services. So sa free market kasi natin, no, sometimes yung it fails to account for this cost. They create a powerful economic and moral justification for government regulation, planning, intervention, and policies like pollution taxes. So, then ito rin, no? Ginagamit natin, no? Medyo magandang methodology, environmental justice. So medyo modern na concept, no? That expands yung debate ng dalawa, yung Pinchot sa Muir debate by introducing explicitly issues of equity, race at saka class. Ano bang environmental justice, no? Simply it demands fair treatment, no? And meaningful involvement of all people regardless of race, color, national origin or income with respect to the development, implementation, enforcement of environmental laws, regulations and policies. No? Fair treatment. So these are nice words, but in actual practice, marami din, no, na victims, no, of unequal treatment. So ano yung key principle dito sa environmental justice? No? So yun, no group of people, especially racial minorities or the poor, should bear a disproportionate share of the negative environmental consequences resulting from industrial, municipal, and commercial operations or policies. So this concept, no, environmental justice, links the legacy of colonialism. Pag-usapan natin kanina. No? Discriminatory planning to present-day environmental inequities. So it forces planners to ask not just what is to be done technically, no, but for whom is this being done and who is being left behind or harmed. Okay, so what else pa, no? So patapos natin, no? So in conclusion, the introduction natin, we must firmly reject the notion that environmental planning is a neutral, purely technical field devoid of values and history. Now, it is in fact a discipline born of profound crisis and conflict, shaped by an unresolved, and productive ethical tension, and burdened with a complex, often painful historical legacy, including industrial exploitation and colonialism. So, unfinished project, no? We're a work in progress. So yung profession natin is a story of humanity's growing ecological consciousness. No? The slow, difficult realization that we are not separate masters of our environment, but are deeply embedded, no, interdependent participants within its complex systems. So, for instance, yung choices that we make about our landscapes, no, from the local to the global, are ultimately choices about the kind of world we want to inhabit and the legacy of justice or ruin we leave for our descendants. So, ito, no? Conclusion. So, yung survival natin, no? Collective survival, prosperity, and dignity in the 21st century depend on this hard-won understanding of interdependence. So, we must intentionally, carefully, and plan, no? Plan a relationship with the natural world using all the wisdom, scientific foresight, and ethical responsibility we can master as a society. Okay? Yung journey natin is far from over, obviously. So yung work ng planner is never truly finished. No, it continuously evolves with each new ecological surprise, technological shift, and each generation's depending understanding of sustainability, justice, and resilience. So yan, no, yung sa atin lang, no, summarizing yung review ni Pinchot, yung mga lasting questions niya. No, yung as planners, no, we are pragmatic, no, managerial, and essential questions that remain vitally relevant today. So, ano bang ginawa ni Pinchot? How can we manage this specific resource, whether water, forest, or land, for long-term sustainability and human benefit? Yung mga questions, no? So, ano pa? For example, how do we structure our economies and communities to serve human needs indefinitely without undermining the resource base? No? So, ano pa? How can democratic governments, no, for instance, effectively steward shared resources for the public good in the face of powerful private interests? So, ito yung mga lasting questions, no? Kay Pinchot, what about kay Muir, no, na we can generalize dito? No? So, yung contrast naman niya, no? Yung deeper, more philosophical and ethical questions that continue to inspire, challenge, and haunt the planning profession. The question, for example, how can we protect this unique place from the relentless pressure of exploitation and short-sighted development? Anong question pa? No, for example, what is our fundamental ethical duty and responsibility to the rest of the living world, to other species, and to the integrity of creation? So, as advocates, no, ano yung makuha natin ng mga questions from where? No, for example, what are the ultimate non-negotiable limits to human expansion and material consumption? So these questions, no, from John Muir, these are questions that endure, no, the conservation movement. Ayan, no, introduction natin. No, papasok ba kayo sa profession na to? Is yung ano to, as future environmental planners, you have your responsibility to carry forward, no, yung mga ano to, mga lessons, no, that we learn here. For example, yung mga modern day versions ng Hetchy dilemma, no, between development at saka preservation, where in actual practice, no, we are faced with difficult, mga elusive, no, mga trade-offs, sometimes very painful. So, yung ano to, yung role nyo, no, assuming you'll be joining our profession, will be to mediate between competing interests at saka values. You can use the tools of this profession to facilitate decisions that build a more sustainable, resilient, healthy, and just world for all inhabitants. So let's just wind up, no, yung mga takeaways natin sa introduction natin. No, so yung dito naman makita natin, no, yung mga yung sense of history natin that will provide us with context. So we also learn yung lessons, no, by understanding the economic forces, policy decisions, and power structures that shape our present landscape. Tapos yung isa, ito, napabalik-balik to sa practice ng profession natin, yung dialectic, no, ng ideas ni Pinchot sa ni Moyer. May central importance yan. There's a fundamental ongoing na dynamic tension. Saan ka ba talaga? Are you for development or preservation? So yan yung, pwede bang paghaluin natin yan? So yan yung, can we do that? No? So that there's always the, mga ongoing na mga debates, no? Historical debates that until now is still being debated, no, by environmental planners. So walang katapusan na debate yan. So of course sa atin dito, no, important also for us to have some lagyan natin ng context palagi yung mga mga ideas natin in relation with yung impact, no, ng mga ng colonialism, no, sa ating history hanggang ngayon, no. So you can term it as neo-colonialism, no, some form of colonialism, no. So para malagyan din ng context. So sometimes sa global environment, you have yung power structure. Saan ba tayo dyan? So we have to also consider that, no, in order for us to resolve yung tinatawag na mga equitable, effective, no, and culturally respectful na planning that repairs rather than perpetuates historical wrongs. Then finally, ano bang makita natin dito ng mga important na takeaway? Yun nga, yung na-mention natin kanina that yung planning profession represents a necessary, legitimate, and vital form of societal self-regulation saka intervention. So the complex problems we face, no, from climate change and biodiversity loss to pollution, no, urban inequity, are classic tragedies, no, of the common, so-called, that unregulated markets are structurally incapable of solving on their own. So, yun, no, when you say intervention, this must be rigorously informed by the best available scientific data to be effective and efficient. However, hindi lang puro data yan, no, sa planning. Yung lahat ng mga tools natin na makuha from science, hindi complete yan. Yung data that we secure, no, once we practice our profession must be consciously guided and shaped by a strong, explicit set of ethical values to ensure the outcomes are not only efficient, no, but also just, no, inclusive, and truly sustainable for all members of the community. Okay, so with that, no, we're ending our introduction. Introduction na natin to, no, sa practice ng environmental planning. So as we go along sa our course outline, no, we may be assigning some of the discussions, no, sa inyo, no, for